Hey everybody, and welcome to another week in August and another episode of On The Sidelines with Hagan and Hunter. I'm Seth Hagan.
I'm Hunter Price.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing that for me.
I'm just going to keep on switching it up for you, man.
Okay.
But welcome everybody, and welcome to the last week that you will have to deal with without college football. Isn't it just, can you smell it? Can you smell the grass? Can you smell the leather? Can you smell the sweat, the blood, the tears? Can you smell tears? I don't know. You probably can't. But it's here, and you won't have to worry about it. This Friday, college football kicks off in earnest with Cal, and they're going to play in Hawaii or Australia or something like that.
Cal versus Hawaii in Australia.
In Australia. I mean, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
They left yesterday. Cal arrived in Australia yesterday with 115 members on their football team.
Wow.
More people were traveling to this game in Australia than any other away game that Cal's going to because they were given no restrictions on the amount of people they could take.
Really? I wonder who's floating that check. We'll never know. We'll never know. But hey, we move on. We got to talk about the Olympics. Of course, the U.S. completely dominated. Once again, it was just really awesome seeing all the teams and just do their thing. I mean, we had a couple of upsets, unfortunately. Our women's volleyball team ranked number one in the country, or in the world, really. They lost. Our men's run relay team was disqualified for a handoff error. A couple of things other than that. But, I mean, other than that, it was complete domination by the U.S. 46 golds, more than any other team by almost 20. The next closest team was England with 27 golds, and overall, you're talking about more than 120 medals in this one. Now, here's the thing. That's not even close to the record. Can you guess what the record might be for total medals in the Olympics? Just give me like a little window.
249.
You are close.
Am I close?
You're close. You're within 10. 239.
Ooh!
239 gold medals were won by the U.S. back in 1904. Second place would be the Russians back in 1980 when they were
doping.
They were doping, and that was the infamous game with the U.S., I believe, where they tried to keep them from winning the men's gold medal in basketball. But hey, we're not going to talk about that. It's cool. But the U.S. had a great games. Obviously, came out on top for the pretty much do this every year. America just wins.
They do it every year, but this Olympics was more special, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Than other Olympics, and it's completely overshadowed by Ryan Lochte now.
Yes.
But the thing about it is, it shouldn't be, because when you look at this Olympics, not only the amount of golds that were won, but Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps, two of the best Olympic athletes ever. This was their last time.
And Simone Biles throwing her hat in the ring for best gymnast of all time. She was on the winning team.
She's going.
I think 2 or 3 different competitions.
Simone
dominated.
She'll be back next Olympics.
Very true.
I'm talking. Michael Phelps is no longer going to be back.
Right.
Usain Bolt.
That's what he says.
Usain Bolt's not going to be back. That's what he says. So you now saw.
I believe Michael Phelps. I think Bolt could do it again. I think he could come back.
I think he could do it again.
And go for the quad.
But like he said himself, I need competition. He said, I'm tired of this.
Come back in another 4 years old, man. They'll have somebody for you. I hope.
He'll be 34 years old next Olympics. So that's starting to get up there in age.
It's crazy because his competition literally is his own country. I mean, Jamaica, they have the fastest runners every year, men's and women's. They won I believe the women's 100 and 200. Obviously, Bolt won the men's 100 and 200. And I can see where he's a little bit bored. He wants something new to do.
He does.
You can kind of see that with Phelps as well, and I'm cool with that. It was a great Olympics, but I haven't forgotten about you, Ryan Lochte. That's right, buddy. You almost overshadowed this whole Olympics, and I just want to talk to you for a little bit, man. You've got a problem. You got a serious problem with wanting to be number one. You got an attention problem, and we've kind of known this for a few years. We knew that you were kind of a puffed up dude, kind of a party guy, pretty boy type deal. But this was nothing short of embarrassing, almost a national embarrassment. you get to the, you're about to win a gold medal. And here's the thing. He didn't win any medals outside of the team competition, outside of the relay. And I just feel like that wasn't enough for him. There wasn't enough spotlight on him. He's always played second fiddle to Michael Phelps, and he just finally got to him. So what does he do? He goes to the press conference, tells everybody how he was stuck up by somebody in a fake police uniform, extorted money from him, and what did everybody in America say? It was just a matter of time, right? Just a matter of time. Those Brazilians. Everything that was going on before, the buildings, the poverty, the lack of police help, it was so easy to believe. And yet, we were all fooled. And then it comes out that Ryan Lochte, it's funny because you can tell that he just never thought it would catch up to him. He never thought in a million years everybody will believe this, it's so believable, it's all good, I'll just tell them a story and it'll be cool. But baby, this is 2016. There's cameras everywhere.
He never thought it'd catch up to him, but this is the funny thing. If he wouldn't have come out and said anything at all, nobody would know about this.
He wouldn't know nothing. Nobody would have cared.
Nobody would know about this.
Exactly.
This would be, literally no one would know about this. This wouldn't even be in the news in Brazil.
Exactly.
There's just a bunch of drunk guys peeing on a bathroom wall.
Busting up a door. Stupid Americans.
Yep.
Right? But now you reinforce every single negative stereotype about Americans ever. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. So it was incredibly embarrassing. And now, this is his legacy. This is his legacy. This is what he will be remembered forever. He passed Mark Spitz for second most medals all time. No one's going to care. No one's going to remember. And he probably lost out on millions of dollars in future jobs.
He's lost all his endorsements. They've all dropped him today.
Oh,
What's worse?
What a joke.
This deal with Ryan Lochte or Manti Te'o's girlfriend?
She saw everything, right?
No, she was there.
She was there.
Yeah, she told me.
Good old Lene.
Te'o was at least tricked. Lochte made this up on his own.
Yes.
I almost say this is worse than Manti Te'o.
Oh, this is way worse, my man. This is way worse.
But it's still number
caught
one,
red-handed. Red-handed. Couldn't be redder than this Georgia helmet right here, everybody. By the way, stick around. We're going to let you guys know how you can win your very own hover helmet for the football season coming up. I can't wait. I love these things, man. They just spin, and they're so cool. So definitely keep up with that. Check out the Facebook page as well, On The Sidelines on Facebook. Hit us up there. But Olympics were a lot of fun. Just hate that it had to kind of end that way. But how did you think? I was very impressed with the men's basketball team.
I was impressed.
The second biggest win in a gold medal game.
Yeah, I was impressed the last game.
Right. You didn't know what to expect leading in.
Oh, now we play defense.
Right.
Now we share the basketball. Now we have assists. Okay, Uncle Drew's crippled today. We actually have Kyrie Irving now.
Right.
Kevin Durant.
Lit it up.
But not only that.
His second straight 30-point gold medal game.
You kind of saw what you're going to see in Kevin Durant with the Warriors. And he was kind of a facilitator for the U.S. coming down the stretch. He was giving up the shot to Klay Thompson for the open shot 3 or 4 times in a row.
Oh, yeah.
It was down the court.
Very tentative. Did not like it.
Yeah, Klay Thompson, he'd run to the corner. He'd run to the right corner. Kevin Durant was running his right lane to the free throw line extended. They'd hit it to Durant. Defender would close out and kick it to Thompson. Money all day long.
It's going to be very difficult to mess with that team. And very smart move by Durant to go ahead and get a little chemistry going this summer. And, he really stepped up and, just blew away the competition, blew away Serbia there in that last game. So it was really nice to see him, after deferring so much in the first few games, to really come out, take control the way he did against Spain as well. It was very nice to see. But what was your? Did you have a favorite moment from the games?
Yeah, it was Serbia-U.S. the first time they played.
The very first, yeah. I think we were watching that one together, weren't we?
Yeah, one of the sickest passes I've ever seen in my entire
life.
Oh
yeah. Oh man, it was nasty.
That dude has had 8 NBA teams contact him since that game.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it, man.
One of the sickest passes I've ever seen in my entire life. But I know it sounds unpatriotic, but I kind of found myself pulling for Serbia in the first game.
Right.
Because it was like, we always win the basketball.
Right.
And now we have this 3-point game coming down the wire with little old Serbia. And it's almost like I'm watching Middle Tennessee State and Michigan State.
Well, it's like the U.S. versus Russia back in the 70s. It was like, that would have been a miracle.
I had that March Madness feel watching that game. That was my favorite moment of the Olympics.
Yeah, I would agree. Other than that, I got to give it up to Michael Phelps. I mean, the guy is the greatest Olympian of all time. It's debatable. That was really the big topic of conversation these last couple of weeks. Who's better? Is it Usain Bolt or Michael Phelps? I just found myself really thinking about, what does Michael Phelps do? He dominates in almost every single kind of sport or every kind of competition there is in the swimming world. And whether it's short distance or long distance, the guy does it all. Except for like the 1,500 meters, he was pretty much in everything still, and still winning, still several golds. You don't see Usain Bolt out there running the mile, running a marathon or a.
He's not that type of guy.
Exactly, and he's not that type of guy. Michael Phelps is a human fish.
If you made $72 million a year, would you go run a marathon?
No.
Usain Bolt gets paid more a year than Tom Brady.
And and it all comes down to what, 9.67 seconds?
9.67 seconds and a sponsorship from Gatorade and Puma.
I mean, apparently he's huge in Europe. He's huge in Europe. So shout out to those guys. Thank you so much to all the athletes for holding us down and giving us great entertainment. But now, football will take it from here. So let's set everybody up for that SEC preview coming up here on the other side of the break. We're going to start with the SEC East. We're looking over here at Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. Find out what we think next and what's going to happen in the SEC. Stick around.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
This is Tyler Herron at Carl Cannon Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, and GMC. Did you see behind me, I got one of our Z71 Chevrolet Silverados. We have many like it. This is actually a Tuscany truck. It has a lift kit and the aftermarket wheels and tires. We are a Tuscany dealer. Come down and see us in Jasper, Alabama, and Carl Cannon Boulevard off exit 65. Or you can give us a call at 205-384-5561.
Other dealers can't? Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than other colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Ready to Work Trucks in Summerton is just that. The place to go from anywhere in the country to find good used trucks for any need. Brian and Robert Harlan and their staff will assist you with financing and delivery. Brian is a 3-time National Truck Salesman of the Year and a 5-time Kenworth Walk-Around Champion with 30 years experience. Ready to Work Trucks, more than just a slogan, a business guarantee.
When you buy a truck from Ready to Work Trucks, everything works. All lights, all gauges, all switches, brakes are good. You can go anywhere in the country or on the internet and you can buy you a used truck and it's ready for you to go home and work on it. Or you can come to Ready to Work Trucks, where everything on our trucks work. And the horn blows, the brakes work, the tires are good, the kingpins are good. Hey, come visit us on Old 78 Highway in Summerton, Alabama, small town, big business. Come see us. We'll see that Ready to Work Trucks is more than our slogan, it's our business guarantee.
Hey everybody, welcome back to On The Sidelines. I'm Seth Hagan, got Hunter Price with me, and we are on the sidelines. We have just entered into our SEC preview for football for the entire season. I cannot wait. Just the game, I mean, we're less than 10 days away now from the very first game of Vanderbilt, South Carolina in SEC play. I'm really looking at Vanderbilt in this one, and I think Vanderbilt's going to have a good season. But let's start out with Tennessee, because I think we can both agree that they should be the East champions when it's all said and done. But Tennessee returned 17 starters, tied for most in the league with LSU. They've got 9 starters back on offense, 8 on defense. I mean, this is a stacked squad, everybody. This is a team that Butch Jones has really been building to beat the likes of an Alabama team, a Georgia team. And I think the talent is finally there to make it all happen. Looking at home games versus Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, and Missouri. And I think, honestly, now that they have that game against Alabama in that second week of October, and they have it at home, I think this is their chance. If they don't beat Alabama now, I don't know that they're ever going to beat them.
No, this is the chance for them to do it. In Tennessee this year, Butch Jones going into his 4th year. They were 9-4 last year. They're tied for 3rd in the East. Bring back Josh Dobbs. A lot of people saying he might be the top quarterback in the SEC, along with Chad Kelly. Can he push the ball down the field? That's the question.
Yes. He's going to have good running backs. Going to have Jalen Hurd and got Alvin
He's going to have Jalen Hurd and Alvin Kamara in the running back, and they're going to have 71 returning starts on the offensive line, so the rushing numbers should be improved. It just seems like there's always something that comes up with them back.
Yeah, and my personal prediction is 11-1. Like you said, if they don't beat Alabama this year, it's not going to happen. And so I do think that they beat Alabama, but I don't think that they go undefeated. I feel like they're going to lose somewhere in there. They've got road games against Georgia A&M, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. Georgia and A&M, certainly losable games there on the road. But
it's going to be
I
interesting.
think this is the year.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Tennessee. They're 3-28 in the past 6 seasons against ranked teams.
Yeesh.
Now, a lot of that's turnover.
terrible.
A lot of that is what Lane Kiffin and not really Lane Kiffin, but
Derek Dooley.
Derek Dooley did
Yeah.
to him. Lane Kiffin hurt him a little bit by just up and going, but a lot of it was Derek Dooley. Really ran him into the ground.
I would agree.
I think I like the way Butch Jones has approached the Tennessee program and slowly built it up. Will it stay there? That's the question.
Yeah, and they've certainly got a great team here, but they're going to lose a lot to the NFL next year. So now is the time to strike while the iron's hot. I'm going with 11-1 Tennessee. Where do you think they end up?
I'm going to say 10-2 or 9-3.
Really? Okay. So you still don't think they'll? Do you
I'm
think
gonna
there'll
go
be two lost
10-2.
teams everywhere, pretty much?
The way I'm looking at it right now, yes,
Okay.
but that could change. I don't see a dominant team at all in college football this year.
Yeah, you're right. It's gonna be a toss-up. That's a lot of the reason why the voters kind of kept a lot of things similar there in the top 5 and the top 10. Got to go with what you know, right? All we know about is last year. Florida, last year's SEC East champ, 10-4, 7-1 in the conference, but they did lose their last 3 games by significant margins. So then now they'll bring in Luke Del Rio, Jack Del Rio's kid. Reviews about him have been rave reviews, but Florida's still trying to build back that offensive line. They don't have a go-to guy at running back. Their wide receivers look very nice with Antonio Callaway heading up the bunch. But I'm looking at their schedule, and it's very, very difficult. You're talking about Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and Georgia all on the road. And I'm not sure, and with the losses that they'll take on the defensive side of the ball, only returning 6 offensive and defensive starters each, I think they're going to falter several times, and not be anywhere near the top.
When you look at Tennessee, Jim McElwain's in his 2nd year, 5th year overall as a head coach, and they were 10-4 last year. They only returned 6 offense and 6 defense. But I still don't think the SEC is the East is built up to where they're not going to be contending for it.
Right.
Right now, I got Florida finishing 2nd in the East. Luke Del Rio, a lot of people said last year, and a lot of people will continue to say, he was better than Will Grier. He just had to sit out his redshirt year last year. Running backs, interesting to see if they're going to be able to have a running game. They did not have an effective running game last year. They only averaged 4.1 yards per carry, between two guys for a total of 1,385
Right,
yards.
and that offensive line is piecemeal.
The offensive line will be better this year than last year.
I hope so.
But will it be good enough?
Right.
That's the question.
Right. I think they just lose so much on the defensive end, especially, Muschamp stockpiled that cabinet for a while, but now all of his guys are gone, and that's why I think Florida really takes a step back. I'm thinking 7-5, 4-4 in the conference. I don't think they beat Tennessee. I don't know if they can go on the road and beat Arkansas this year. And you're also looking at LSU at home. Not sure about that one either. LSU should be very good. They also return 17 starters as well. So I see 4 SEC losses despite a number 13 recruiting class for Florida this offseason.
Well, it's not this recruiting class that matters for this season. It's
Sure, I'm just throwing it in.
Last year's recruiting class. What was last year's recruiting class ranked? 2 years ago.
I believe they got back in the top 25 because they had a lot of defections after Muschamp left on the defensive side.
Now they are sitting out Jalen Tabor to be suspended for 2 games, I believe.
Oh, wow.
They do have.
I knew it was the first game, but that's
I think
tough.
it's 2. It might just be the first, though. It might just be the first. Best defensive back in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to help them. Will Greer. I think Florida finishes second in the East.
Okay. All right. A couple losses, 2-3, something like that. All right. All right. Let's take a look at Georgia. Georgia, 10-3 last year, 5-3. Also had a pretty lackluster second half of the season, mostly due to Nick Chubb going down in that game. Really took the wind out of their sails. To play North Carolina week 1, and I've got them on upset alert. I mean, this is a game that they could easily lose. Coming in, they got a new team, new coach. Things seem to be working out. He did get Maurice from Alabama, so that'll strengthen up their secondary. But I don't know. Honestly, this year I'm predicting they keep things kind of similar. I'm thinking 9 or 10 wins. They've got a bye before the Florida game. I think they win that game as well. But they go on the road to Ole Miss, and that's really their toughest road game. That's it. And I think Ole Miss will take a step back. So I think Georgia will be the beneficiary of a pretty easy road schedule.
They might be, but I think this is the year Georgia takes a step back.
Really? Okay.
Well, one, I think Vanderbilt. I mean, you're looking at the schedule. I think Vanderbilt's going to be better than people think. I think Kentucky's going to be better than people. South Carolina's going to be down, but they have Grayson Lambert coming back fighting with Jacob Eason for that starting job.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the freshman? Because if it's going to be the freshman, you're not getting 10 wins.
You're right.
With Georgia.
You're right. I always
Or is
thought
it
that
gonna be-
Lambert would kind of bridge into Easton, but now I've heard that he's getting the majority of the reps.
Or is it going to be Lambert, who I would go with?
Right.
With Lambert.
Yeah.
But you don't have any skill players on the outside.
Other than Terry Godwin, you're kind of the cupboard's bare as far as wide receiver.
You're losing 3 out of 4 defensive tackles. I really see them more of an 8-4, maybe 7-5 this year.
Okay.
I have Georgia finishing 3rd or 4th in the East.
All right. They get Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Florida, and Auburn all at home. So I thought I think that those are their toughest games, honestly. Vanderbilt may be tougher than Ole Miss as far as the defense. Certainly the defense is concerned, not the offense. But I think Georgia's got the schedule sets up favorably for them, unlike Florida, who gets a very tough slate on the road.
The schedule sets up favorably, but I don't see a leader in Lambert, and I don't see Eason, who's going to be great, being great for what Georgia needs this year as a freshman. Yeah. And there's no receivers at Georgia.
Right. It is a one.
Can
it's
Nick
a one-sided attack.
Can Nick Chubb stay healthy?
Yeah.
Or are they going to have another true freshman come out of nowhere like they have every single year?
I mean, they keep it stocked, and Sony Michel definitely picked up right where Nick Chubb left off, over 1,000 yards. Coming back, they are arguably the best running back tandem in the league, next to guys like Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis, and also Tennessee. We already mentioned Alvin Kamara and Jalen Hurts. So they're really going to have to lean on those guys. Mm-hmm. And can they carry the load? We'll see. But I'm thinking 9-3 wins. But that really depends on, are they going to start the freshman or are they going to try to ease him in? Because I think that's their best option. Mm-hmm. You go with the freshman. I mean, Lord knows. I mean, if you lose to North Carolina, this season could go south in a hurry. But let's move on. We both think Vanderbilt's going to do much better this season. I really like the way that their schedule sets up, looking at 4 teams playing in the top 25, but they returned 16 starters, 8 on defense, or pardon me, 8 on defense, 8 on offense.
7 on defense, 8 on offense.
Okay, and I think they're gonna play very well. They've got road games against Kentucky, Georgia, Auburn, and Missouri. I think they can get Kentucky and Missouri, and South Carolina, Florida, Ole Miss, and Tennessee at home. That's going to be tough, but I really think that they can get 6-6, maybe even 7-5, because Florida's got to go to Vanderbilt, and I think Vanderbilt, with the confidence that they got in the swamp last year, I think that could be a game that Florida will drop.
I truly think Vanderbilt's going to go bowling this year.
Yeah.
Derek Mason, he's in his 3rd year. He's now kind of gotten off of the offense and focused on the defense. They're going to have one of the best front sevens in the SEC. That is what he's built Vanderbilt on. Do they have the rest of the playmakers, though? That's the question.
That's the thing. We know that their running back is solid. Their quarterback, he's named a starter since the spring, so it's that guy and nobody else. We know from the first couple of years, I mean, the quarterback situation at Vanderbilt was the worst in the league, bar none, period. And it was all about the defense. But now that they are at least settled in those spots and there's no real competition and the team knows who their leaders are, I think it sets up very well for them. They could go 7-5, 4-4 in the conference potentially.
They're going to have to get they're going to have to get more offense though. The past 2 years, they averaged 17.2 and 15.2 points per game, and it doesn't matter how good your defense is. If you're not getting in the upper 20s points per game, you're going to be struggling.
Very true. Very true. All right, let's just finish out the East real quick. Missouri, I think they're going to go 0-8, man. I think it's going to be a very tough year for Barry Odom. Sorry, Barry. It's just, the SEC East is slowly starting to move up, and I think Missouri's going to head right back down into the bottom of the East. What do you think?
I don't think they're going to go 0-8.
You don't think so?
No.
Think they can beat South Carolina? I think the loser of that game goes 0-8.
They're returning 5 on offense. They're returning 8 on defense. They're returning a lot on defense, but they did have a couple of guys kicked off the team.
Exactly.
So they're really
7 on defense.
Their quarterback they have, Jack Lowry, came out of JUCO last year, threw for 3,360 yards, 53.4% completion ratio, 28 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. He sounds like he might be pretty decent. They might have something at quarterback. Do they have the playmakers on the outside, though? That's the question. It is going to be interesting. I think Missouri is going to have a lot of just that fire of Barry Odom as the head coach.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the way that they reacted to him. I mean, the team loves the guy, and a lot of the times that can be the difference in a lot of these close games.
Yep.
All right, everybody, we got the SEC West coming on up a little bit later in the program. We've got Jim Cavall of Iron Tribe Fitness in Birmingham coming on the show. We're going to talk with him about business, how they do things with their workouts. It's really some fascinating stuff, so everybody stick around. More On the Sidelines in just a moment.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
Here at Carl Cannon Chevrolet, we offer a wide variety of vehicles. Trucks is one of our main things that we have here. We offer them that can be dinghy-towed, flat-towed, and we also have vehicles that can tow between 3,500 pounds all the way to 17,500 pounds. So if you need a vehicle that can just take you to church on Sundays or pull the load on Mondays, we've got them all right here for you at Carl Cannon. Been here for 50 years. Come see us in Jasper.
Other dealers can't, Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Leo and Susie's famous Green Top Barbecue has been serving up the South's best barbecue for more than 50 years. Made famous for their hickory smoked barbecue sandwiches and big, tasty cheeseburgers, Green Top is sure to satisfy your hunger. Enjoy your meal while watching a game or call in for carryout. They also provide catering for any size party or occasion. For fast, friendly service and good old-fashioned barbecue, Green Top is simply the best.
From Mobile to Florence, from Auburn to Tuscaloosa, for all your commercial or private paving needs, is Alabama's premier surfacing company. 20 years experience has the equipment and personnel to handle any job anywhere in the state of Alabama. Call 205-648-3117.
Hey everybody, welcome back to On The Sidelines with Hagan and Hunter. I'm Seth Hagan, Hunter Price to my left. And today we have a very special guest. We've got Jim Cavall, the president of Iron Tribe Fitness in Birmingham. Jim traveled down back in the early 2000s, came down from Syracuse, New York, played baseball for the Montevallo Falcons. Me and him are fellow Montevallo Falcons. Love our school in Montevallo, but came down here and he's really kind of built his life down here now. Got a couple businesses. So Jim, appreciate you coming on with us and grabbing some time.
Glad to be on with you, Hunter and Seth. Really appreciate it.
All right. Well, let's start from the very beginning, shall we? Describe your journey from growing up in New York and then coming down here to Alabama and playing for Montevallo. Was that much of a shock for you, the culture and everything?
Well, I always tell people I'm from a place in New York that is probably not like they picture it, meaning, I'm not from Times Square, but for some reason everybody in Alabama thinks I am. Syracuse is a place with more deer, more lakes and fishing, and more mountains than Alabama, if you can believe that or not.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up in the most city environment, but when you picture Alabama in your head, growing up in upstate New York, you picture it to be exactly like Montevallo. So it was definitely a shock. I mean, going down there, one of the biggest reasons I did, aside from my connection in a former high school teammate of mine in New York who had also gone to Montevallo, that's how I knew about it. But the biggest reason I went was I knew that I would do nothing but play baseball and go to school. And I knew I needed to focus on those two things and not have any distractions. And Montevallo ended up being a great decision for me, and really enjoyed my time there.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. You actually got a degree in journalism, same as I did. I double concentrated down there, and Montevallo is a great place. Just a little piece of heaven. But that's crazy how it's almost a little bit like Syracuse. Tell us about Iron Tribe, because you're the president there of your location, and what type of fitness work do you guys do down there? Because it's pretty difficult, is it not?
Well, it's challenging, and what I like to say is, Iron Tribe's for anyone, but not everyone. Anyone meaning we've got clients who are 8 years old, and I've got clients who are 78 years old. So anybody can do it, but it's not for everyone because you have to commit. And at Iron Tribe, we don't have a model where we're signing up thousands of people and hoping only hundreds show up. We actually only have 300 spots at each gym. We have 43 gyms now nationwide, started right here in Homewood, Alabama, literally in my neighborhood and my business partner's garage, and grown it out as far as Seattle to Miami and in between. And at all our locations, we only allow 300 members, and we expect all 300 to show up and want them to commit to our program. And so if people commit, anybody that comes in and commits, we can curtail the program to you. Even though you're in a group and in a class environment, we'll personally train you to get you to your goal. And it's a lot of fun, man. We're changing thousands of lives nationwide and really having a blast doing it.
Yeah, that's great, man. It sounds fun. I've watched stuff kind of like that on TV, and it seems kind of tough. But I like the way you do it, because it's almost like with 300 spots and only 300, it's almost like it's exclusive, and you can kind of market it that way. How did you guys initially come up with that concept?
Well, really, even before we came up with that concept, we knew that we wanted to create something that was first class in how we delivered it. It wasn't just about the workout program. We do similar movements to programs like CrossFit, programs like Orange Theory, programs like you name it. I mean, any group program out there, we've been compared to it. But when people actually come in, they see that we actually deliver it in a first-class manner that just draws a real affluent clientele that wants to get in and out in 45 minutes, that wants to be able to know what to expect and how their coaches are going to train them in that workout, wants to know that their coaches know them and that knee injury they had a few years ago, or the goal they had when they came in of reaching a certain body fat percentage or losing a certain amount of weight. And so by hiring full-time coaches that have salaries and growth paths and benefits that allow them to build a career in fitness, we're able to deliver that experience to this group of clientele. And yes, create an exclusivity where people want to get that spot in their local Iron Tribe because they know that there's only so many spots there.
Yeah, and talking about all the different training methods, and Iron Tribe has really blown up, I've noticed, in the Birmingham area. And a lot of people don't know about it, would just think it's regular CrossFit. Could you really tell us the difference about what y'all do in this high-intensity interval training and the difference between it and CrossFit?
Well, I mean, really the only similarity between Iron Tribe and CrossFit is we do similar movements. After that, it's completely different. Going back to what I just said, which is we hire coaches and help them build careers in a way where they're literally doing personal training in a group fitness environment. We happen to have one of our programs that looks similar to CrossFit. We also have another program that we're developing that's more of a high-intensity interval training program, doesn't have any barbell or weightlifting really in it. And ultimately what we want to do is focus less on what the program is and focus more on choosing a program that helps people get to their goal. So right now, that happens to be the programs we have. We've been able to continue to evolve what we're doing in the space because we're not committed to equipment that drives Iron Tribe based on what the workout is as much as what the people are. So what I mean is, take another brand. You got a brand like Orange Theory. Orange Theory, when you go in there, you know you're going to be on the treadmill, right? Full of treadmills. Or Soul Cycle. When you go into Soul Cycle, you know you're going to be on the bike, right? They're tied to the bike. Our space is very open, and so we've been able to adapt our program and make our brand less about the program, even though it's what is the vehicle to get you to your goal, but we make it more about the people. And so the community aspect is really why people stay at Iron Tribe. It's why our retention is as high as it is. And ultimately, it's not necessarily why people sign up, because it kind of sounds almost touchy-feely to say that you're going to sign up because you're joining a community. It is why people stay. They really feel a part of something bigger than themselves. Kind of like they did maybe when they were in high school or college and they played a team sport.
Yeah, I would agree. I know I always work out better with a group of guys. Like that just helps push you and you know, when you see and you know that competition that really drives you to try to do things better than you would normally do.
Well, what I realized is just now in this conversation, it's a lot like what I do with the guys I train is when you bring them in, you can work them out all day long. They can bust their butt all day long. But if you don't change the mind first, what good is it?
Yeah.
It really is what it comes down to. You've got to, you know, one of my favorite entrepreneurs is Dave Ramsey. And Dave's obviously solving one of what I would say the two biggest problems. You know, he always jokes, Jenny Craig and him will always be in business because people will always be overweight, people will always be in debt. And Dave helps people get out of debt. But what I love about Dave's approach is he basically says, listen, everything I'm going to teach you, it's not like I came up with it. It's not genius. A lot of it's common sense. This is not a knowledge thing as much as it's a behavior thing. And I think with fitness, it's the same approach. We've got to create an environment where you're not only changing your behavior because you're held accountable by your trainer and your coach, but you're also held accountable by each other. You know, I just got a text earlier from a buddy of mine. He said, hey, man, did you sign up for the 4 p.m. class tomorrow at such and such location, the Iron Tribe 150 location in Hoover? And I said, yeah, I'll sign up right now. I'm going to show up to that because I told him I was going to be there. You know what I mean? That whole behavior approach is really helps people make changes. Yeah, we've got good knowledge, and we've got experts that are teaching you, and they're teaching you things you don't know. But this behavior that's going to really help you make the change, not the knowledge.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It sounds funny, and it builds accountability, honestly, and that's half of it, man. Getting people to show up and get the work done. Now, a lot for the people at home who don't know, Jim was actually an analyst a few years ago. Worked with CSS and ESPNU a little bit early on. And, Jim, we got to get you back in the analyst seat here for a little bit, man, because football season is coming up here in the next little bit, and you are a big Syracuse fan. Now, Syracuse, last year, 4-8, 2-6 in the ACC. What do you see from them and the conference? Because a lot of people think that the ACC can get a couple of teams in the playoff this year.
Well, listen, for those who heard him say that I'm a Syracuse fan, started laughing because Syracuse has been so bad in football. Just remember that for 35, 40 years, we were a decent program.
Oh, yeah.
We had a Heisman Trophy winner, Ernie Davis. Jim Brown, of course, went to Syracuse, won us a national championship. And when I grew up in the 90s, we were top 10 almost every year with Donovan McNabb and, Marvin Harrison, some of the players we had. It's a shame with Syracuse in football. I would actually say, self-admittedly, I don't know much about Syracuse football this year because I don't pay as much attention to it. Being down here, I'm all into what's going on in the SEC. I do think that the ACC is a conference that has been top-heavy in the past few years with your Syracuses and Wake Forests and such, which has made it a little bit easier for the teams to get out, not necessarily meaning that Clemson isn't a great team. You saw they almost beat Alabama in the national championship. They played with them the whole time. But what it does is it helps some of these teams like Clemson be able to play their second-string guys and give their first-string guys a break during the season and not have to have every week be that game that keeps you in the race. And we've seen in the SEC that become a disadvantage at times. So in the SEC West, I should say, become a disadvantage at times. So, I think that Syracuse have another mediocre season. They do have a new coach that they got from Bowling Green. Hopefully we break 500 this year. But I think the ACC is, once again, very top-heavy. And I think, Clemson's set up to come out again and make a run at it. Of course, easier said than done with that kind of pressure.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Well, hey, there's always next year as well. You talked about the SEC. It is a very tough conference. We think here on the program that everyone's going to lose at least one game, maybe even two games. How do you see things shaking out this year?
Well, first of all, when you look at the history of the SEC, for me, I always love to look at it in context. I mean, before this amazing run we saw in the mid 2000s, the SEC was one of those conferences where they were always beating each other up. There was no playoff. And, the SEC championship game, heck, I think it started in 1992. Yep. It changed everything in college sports, college football, to have the championship game because it created that extra round to maybe get some of these teams over the hump. But from 1980 to 2005, the SEC had 5 national championships. They win one every 5 years. They weren't as dominating as they've been since 2006. And I think what's so great is you can lose a game now and still be in the race. Heck, you could lose 2 games. We saw that happen a few years back with LSU. And so to be able to lose a game or two and still get to the championship because your conference is so tough, at least keeps you in the race when your conference is as tough as, especially the SEC West is. I think the East, once again, is top heavy. And Arkansas, they're still a tough team to beat, right? And Arkansas is really the only reason Alabama won the national title last year because of that crazy play against Ole Miss. Yeah. Right? So all the variables and the luck involved in the SEC makes it once again be and you can't really predict what's going to happen. I mean, Alabama is number 1 going into the season. The last time a team's been number 1 preseason and won a national title was more than 10 years ago. And I know Alabama fans hate to hear that, but it's the truth. Usually the number 1 team in the preseason doesn't win at all, especially when you don't even know where their quarterback's going to be yet. So a lot of unpredictables, a lot of excitement. I think it's going to be another year with a lot of variables. And hopefully there's another lateral play like we saw Alex Collins make with Arkansas that somehow helps another team get into the SEC championship game only for them to win it and win it all.
Yeah, we can't wait, man. It's
Can you
awesome.
tell me the year and team that was picked preseason number 1 and won it all?
Was it USC? Yeah.
USC 2004.
Yep. Man, it's
been
a long time.
Tell me who played for the national championship the last 2 times Alabama was picked number 1 in the preseason AP.
The last 2 times Alabama was picked number 1 in the
preseason.
Was it Auburn?
It's Auburn. 2010 it's Auburn. 2010 and 2013.
The year Cam Newton played.
And in 2013.
Wow.
Yeah, because I guess the Cam Newton year, Alabama, I always still say that was one of the best Alabama teams there ever was, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
were coming off a national championship, off a Heisman Trophy. Ingram was back. McElroy was back. But and they had Cam down 3 touchdowns at home, right? But
Yeah.
somehow they won
There's
that
a
game.
little guy named Shane Garcia.
Good
Is that
old
his name?
Shane.
Shane Garcia?
Something like that.
Oh,
Or
well.
wait, you talking about South Carolina's guy?
Yeah.
Oh, Stephen Garcia.
Stephen Garcia.
What a
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
What a good guy. All right, well, Jim, we've reached the end of our time, but man, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, man. We had a lot of fun. Hopefully, we can get you back on sometime.
Thanks, Seth. St. Hunter. You guys enjoy college football season. Hopefully, I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
Sounds
sounds good,
great.
buddy.
Thank
All
you.
right, take care. All right, everybody. That was Jim Cavalli. He's the president over there at Iron Tribe Fitness on Highway 280. You can also check them out at irontribefitness.com, or if you're interested in kind of working out with them, it's irontribefranchise.com. You can also follow Jim on Twitter at Jim Cavale, JimCavale. All right, everybody. The SEC West preview coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Carl Cannon Buick Cadillac GMC Chevrolet. My name is Joshua Salter, and would love to take this opportunity to show you the new 2016 Cadillac SRX. We've got some great promotions going on right now. Would love to help you get into a new car today. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 384-5561 or on my cell at 205-300-8364. Stop out and see us.
Other dealers can't? Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than 4-year colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Ready to Work Trucks in Summerton is just that. The place to go from anywhere in the country to find good used trucks for any need. Brian and Robert Harlan and their staff will assist you with financing and delivery. Brian is a 3-time National Truck Salesman of the Year and a 5-time Kenworth Walk-Around Champion with 30 years experience. Ready to Work Trucks, more than just a slogan, a business guarantee.
When you buy a truck from Ready to Work Trucks, everything works. All lights, all gauges, all switches, brakes are good. You can go anywhere in the country or on the internet and you can buy you a used truck and it's ready for you to go home and work on it. Or you can come to Ready to Work Trucks, where everything on our trucks work. And the horn blows, the brakes work, the tires are good, the kingpins are good. Hey, come visit us on Old 78 Highway in Summerton, Alabama, small town, big business. Come see us. We'll see that Ready to Work Trucks is more than our slogan, it's our business guarantee.
Hey everybody, welcome back to On The Sidelines, 4th quarter here on the show, and we've saved the best for last, the SEC West preview for this 2016 football season coming up. Just want to remind you guys, less than 10 days away from the very first kickoff. I mean, we're going to have it on Friday technically, and then we got to wait like another 5 days for some more football, but man, it's here, and I couldn't be more psyched to get this thing on, so let's do it. Preseason number 1, Alabama, let's start there. 14-1, obviously, last year, defending SEC champs, defending national champs. After that loss to Ole Miss really woke the team up, and they started playing just out of their minds. An incredible road team. They've got just 11 starters coming back, 6 on offense, 5 on defense, but it seems like they're just always ready to reload and just stick guys into slots. They play 4 teams ranked in the top 25, 3 in the top 11. That's including Tennessee and Ole Miss. What do you see from the Tide this year? They are missing some guys in some very key spots.
It's going to be an interesting year for Alabama this year.
Yeah.
Are they going to reload like they always have? Or is it going to be the year where having a new quarterback is finally going to catch up with them.
Right.
I kind of feel like they're going to reload and get caught up with. I think I'm looking at Alabama at 10-2 this year.
I'm the exact same way. Yeah.
You look at the quarterbacks, no one is stepping up and winning the job over at Alabama. There was
And they're turning the ball over like crazy.
There was 5 interceptions thrown and 2 fumbles in Saturday's scrimmage. Jalen Hurd with the only 2 touchdown passes, but also had 2 interceptions.
Jalen Hurd, the true freshman.
You look at him replacing center, Pierce Baker, supposed to be pretty good. We'll see how he does, but you're replacing 3 of 5 offensive linemen. But you're replacing a center, a quarterback, and you're going to have a fresh backfield that has not seen any playing time.
Yeah,
And
first time that's happened in Alabama in years. I mean, it seemed like they always had somebody waiting in the wings who played last year. Bo Scarborough only got a few carries.
And, you know, a freshman can run the ball all day. But there's more to being a running back than running the football. You have to learn pass protection. You got to learn pass blocking. And that is difficult, and that takes time, and that takes reps.
And that's something that also a center really helps a team get ready for when they go to the line. I mean, the center is like a second quarterback.
What Alabama does have going for them is they have a great defense, great defensive backfield, and their wide receiver core might be the best in the country.
Oh, yeah. It's lights out.
Question is, can the ball get to the wide receiver core this year? Yeah. They've averaged 32.1 to 38.7 points per game the last 7 years.
That's the picture of consistency.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and obviously their defense is stocked every year. So, but I think they lose to Tennessee here. They've got some road games, obviously against Arkansas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU.
Watch out for that Southern
either
Cal
LSU
game.
or Arkansas is going to catch up to them.
Watch out for that Southern Cal game.
Really?
Yes.
So you think that very first game they could be in trouble?
I'm picking Alabama, but that is a scary game.
Yeah.
That is a scary, scary game.
And they're favored to blow them out. 11-point line at this point in Vegas. It's crazy.
Oh, don't take that.
Don't take that. All right.
Moving on.
You're here first. But yeah, they've got the #1 recruiting class coming in, so they're going to stay stocked. But yeah, let's take a look at Arkansas, a team that seems to incrementally move up every year, and I think they do the same thing this year. Not leaps and bounds, but Brett Bielema is slowly starting to build a rock-solid SEC program foundation, really, by those big guys in the middle, the offensive and defensive line. He's going to have a great offensive line, as always. Loses his skill players, obviously. You got Alex Collins left. Their quarterback is gone. Brandon Allen's brother, Austin, now steps into the leading role. And that'll be tough for him, but because their lines are so stocked up with great talent, I feel like this is a year where they can take yet another step forward, and they're returning 9 players on defense. It's worth mentioning.
They're returning 9 players. They're going to have a stout defense. Their offensive line is not going to be what it's been in the past, though.
Right, but
they're only
I feel
returning.
Like they can bridge that.
You would think so. They're only returning 2 returning starters on the offensive line, a total of 47 starts, and they lost their offensive line coach and have a new offensive line coach coming in.
That's true.
Who's going to be the quarterback? Brandon Allen. We expect him to step up, be just like his brother, Austin Allen. Yeah. But can he get it done? Who are the playmakers on the outside for Arkansas? I actually think this is kind of a down year for Arkansas.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
So what are you thinking? I've got them at 9-3. I think they're only going to lose a handful of games.
I'm seeing 7-6, 8-5.
Okay. All right. They do have a neutral location game against Texas A&M. As always, they'll play 4 teams in the top 13, and their bye week this year is before Florida. Little known fact, and people talk about Florida's beaten Tennessee like 9 years in a row. They've actually beaten Arkansas their last 9 matchups. And I think that's going to be a big motivating factor for when Florida shows up in Fayetteville. I think Arkansas wins that game. But we've already talked about that. I think Florida falls back a little bit. You think they stay a little more consistent.
And I'm always right.
You're always right. Arkansas also plays TCU. It's worth mentioning. Everybody gets the big first week matchup, but Arkansas gets TCU in week 2. What do you think about that?
That's going to be an interesting matchup.
Because TCU is ranked 13th preseason.
It's going to be an
They lost a lot of guys as well.
They lost a lot of guys, but with Gary Patterson over there, they're just reloading. It's going to be interesting.
And is at TCU as well, so very, very tough game for them. All right, Auburn, 7-6 last year, 2-6 in the conference. Received no AP votes at the end of the year. They return 11 stars as well, just like Alabama. 6 on offense, 5 on defense. 3 of those lost guys on defense, the starting linebackers. McKenzie is gone. Chris Frost is gone. Justin Garrett is gone.
I do think it's interesting, though. They're losing their 3 linebackers, but I think their linebacker core is going to be better this year than last year. You got T.J. Neal coming in, led the Big Ten in tackles last year at Illinois. You have Trey Williams. Deshaun Davis is really showing out. Then they're deep. A lot of people are overlooking Auburn, and I'm telling you, they're going to surprise some folks this year.
Great. They're very good in the trenches. It really just comes down to their skill players on offense.
It's going to come down to the skill players on offense, but they have one of the top offensive lines in the country and the SEC, and they also have one of the top defensive lines in the country and the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have those 2 things along with a strong special teams, that is the recipe for a winning program. It's not quarterback in the SEC. We've seen that.
Oh, no.
You can argue with Malzahn, you have to have the quarterback, but do you if you bring in the strong power running game with Chandler Cox and Cameron Petway, and you have Alex Cozen, Braden Smith at the guard positions.
And then Kerryon Johnson kind of being that chameleon guy for Auburn.
You're also going to have Jason Smith returning, Marcus Davis, Tony Stevens. I just don't see him doing it the senior year. It's taken him 3-4 years, and I still don't think he's going to get over the hump and be what we thought.
That'd be too bad because, 6'4".
He's a poor route runner.
Really? Okay. Well, that's what it is. Auburn's got to play 3 teams in the top 5, including that Week 1 matchup against Clemson. That's going to be a great game. I will be in the house for that for sure. I think you will be as well.
Yep.
And so we're definitely looking forward to that. But I'm looking at Auburn. I think they can pull 6 wins in conference this year. We're looking at 9-3. What do you think?
I'm seeing Auburn at 9-3 this year.
All right. I believe that's the way to go. I just think that the middle is too solid for them. That defensive line is going to win them some ball games. All right, let's take a look at LSU. LSU 9-3 last year. I think they go 9-3 again this year, honestly.
Well, I
think it's about the same. Even though they return 17 starters, they're unlike Tennessee, who also returned 17 starters. Tennessee's offensive skill players are almost a guarantee, and they're not playing tough matchups.
Well,
LSU's quarterback and wide receivers still have to prove themselves.
The wide receivers have proved themselves. The quarterbacks just got to get the ball to them.
Yeah.
You've got, what's their names?
Malachi Dupree
and Durrell.
Yeah. They're good, no doubt.
Outside of Alabama, they probably got the best wide receivers in the SEC. But can Brandon Harris get in the ball? Leonard Fournette, he's going to run it all day long. No one's going to stop him. I see LSU maybe winning the West this year, and I'm going to go 10-2.
10-2.
I'm just going to say Alabama 10-2, LSU 10-2.
They do get Alabama at home, but they have not beaten Alabama at home in several tries. All right, let's take a look at Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss takes a real step back this year. Despite having the best quarterback in the conference, they just dismissed their number 1 running back, lost a ton of talent to the NFL. They return a league low 9 starters, just 4 on offense, 5 on defense. I'm seeing 6 conference losses, and it's crazy because they got to go on the road to Arkansas, LSU, A&M, and Vanderbilt. I think at Vanderbilt they're on upset alert again. I think Vanderbilt could be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, Ole Miss is definitely going to have a down year. All their returners, Chad Kelly and Juju, whatever his name is.
Juju Smith?
No, that's Southern Cal.
Oh, that's the
Attaboy Joe.
Quincy.
Quincy Attaboy Joe. They've lost too much. They're dealing with NCAA violations. It's been a distraction all summer long. I'm not seeing Mississippi this year. They have the talent, but I just think there's too much going around in the program. I'm looking at them at 7-6.
Yeah, I would agree. And Mississippi State, they're not even going to make a bowl, in my opinion.
We didn't get to you, Mississippi State. We didn't get to you, Texas A&M.
Yep.
We'll talk about you next week.
Yeah. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Jim Cavall as well. Make sure you hit us up on Facebook, On The Sidelines there, and on Twitter, Seth Hagan, Hunter Price. So, Hunter, take us out, buddy.
Guys, use the game. Don't let the game use you.
Take care, everybody.